Okay, so pretty easy, Rohan.life, and there'll be a stream there if this dies. So I do private sessions for people that come to me. Sometimes they're on the East Coast or they're overseas or wherever they are, and it's hard for them to come here. And some people don't like being in a group, so they'd rather do it alone, and they really want to leapfrog forward and really see what this is. And so far, everybody that I've shown has booked has seen what I'm talking about directly for themselves. And once you've seen what you are directly for yourself, the game changes, because now you have some sort of a reference point of nothing, you might say, and the reference point of you being everything. The paradox of it all disappears as the silence envelopes and you see all the vastness, the oneness, the emptiness, and the fullness. You're all of it. But what the reoccurring theme is, and why I'm talking about this, is not to broadcast or puff myself up or this up or anything. It's just telling you that this whole thing is so simple, and what people discover is the absolute simplicity of it, beyond simple, beyond the idea of simple, beyond or before any of the stuff. And so if you could, what I actually get people to do, which is extremely hard to do, is completely stop and see for themselves through their direct experience, without any ideologies, beliefs, systems of spirituality, frameworks, ideas, texts, genres, anything, to see directly what you are. And it's so simple that you miss it. That's what happens, is it's so simple you miss it. And then there's lots of teachings along Advaita, if you've ever heard of that, that are I'm nothing, I'm nobody. And one of the common problems I see is people finding it too early, finding Advaita too early. It's for the end of the path. It's not for the beginning. So I find people with a lot of difficulty that found it too early. Much harder to help. We need to do work. We have to do inner work, because your energy body, a long history of trauma and suffering, hasn't gone away. It's still stored in the memory vehicle. The energy body is a memory vehicle. And those memories, you can find a little bit of space and an opening, maybe just the mind quiets and you can see reality as it is. But before long, somebody's going to say something or somebody's going to do something, and your past history is going to come up and swamp it and make it disappear. And this needs to be acknowledged, and nobody wants to hear it. I haven't seen anyone not shuffle that. No one wants to hear it, but this is the truth. And do you want the truth, or do you want bullshit? Do you want to be lied to? Do you want to find out 20 years later, like one guy I met 20 years later, that it doesn't work too early? And now he's got a bitterness and an anger problem about wasting 20 years? You want that as well? It's important we start work, and at any moment we can find it. But if you never start the inner work and the inner healing, you may not find it. And then you've made no progress, and you don't even have simple happiness, because you haven't emptied enough to be happy. Because happiness requires a certain amount of emptiness. Pleasure requires no emptiness. Happiness, which is different from pleasure, requires a certain level of emptiness. No way around this. But Advaita, with the teachings of you're nothing, you're nobody, and the emptiness, and we keep returning to that, it's ultimately true. But you seeing that and just having that experience, within a day or an hour or a minute of the teacher leaving, you're back where you were before with a new glimpse of something, and now you just have an insight. Rarely do people hold it. But it looks very exciting, enticing, doesn't it, when you're seeing people on YouTube and different places having these opening experiences. Very few of them stay there. You have to understand this. They are not now awake. They just get a glimpse and they fall back again. Understand this. You need to do some work. The Buddhists get it. The Taoists get it. Deep Advaita teachers get it. Shallow ones don't. There's some inner work to be done. Now, if you find this troublesome or offensive or bothersome, perhaps there's a truth here. If you find this troublesome or bothersome, perhaps there's something moving in you and you haven't done the work in this area and you have a belief system in place that's now bothering you. But do you want to see it? Do you want to do that inner work and see? Or do we want to just keep skimming over and pretending that we're something we're not? Deeper than we are. Freer than we are. It's up to you. And these are the difficult choices we have to make to be a true seeker. To face reality as it is and the truth as it is. There's no cheap, quick Western fixes. There's no fast food deal here. Fast food doesn't work. It's not healthy. It causes harm over time. It's immediately gratifying with all its little chemicals and everything in the bun to make you feel good and get your endorphins popping and make you feel special. But there's a crash after it. You have to take care and eat the best quality food you can. It's the same in spirituality. You have to do the work and be at the deepest you can and not skim over it into simple seeings. Showing people this is easy. Holding it is hard. Holding it is probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do. Seeing it is probably going to be one of the easiest things you can do with the right guidance. So the choice is yours. Why am I saying all this? Because it's an epidemic at the moment, isn't it? Fast food's an epidemic and fast spirituality is an epidemic. But the fastest way is to hunt your inner triggers. That's the fastest way, but it's not fast food. The fastest way to do that with somebody that can see you. But my experience is most people are too gutless to want to see themselves, so they choose cheap and nasty spirituality because they don't have to look at themselves at all. They have to look at all the light, but they can't look at the shadows within themselves. And this causes all sorts of disturbances over time. There's a great story of Stephen Walensky, who was a student of Nisargadatta. Osho was 3 hours away. Muktananda was 3 hours away. And now one of the most famous teachers with one of the greatest books ever written called I Am That, Nisargadatta, was sitting in a room with a handful of students. And people knew he was there, but few went to him. And I'm not saying I'm him. This is a great, great master. This is not a comparison on this level. What I'm saying is he was telling direct, honest truth to people, and nobody wanted it. But those that did, his success rate was through the roof. Through the roof. People want spiritual stories and spiritual experiences and spiritual relationships. It's not that. It's not that. Anyway, a little bit of a straight shooter one, huh?
Please like or subscribe if you found value. Meet Rohan via rohan.life.